Hi, you may know that this week is a Stress Awareness Week. And stress manifests itself in all kinds of ways, and it's highly detrimental to health because it releases cortisol into the body, and without the ability to rid ourselves of it, it can permeate into every organ of the body and cause disease. So stress needs to be managed, and it comes in various ways. I'm just going to talk about the stress associated with grief when it is also combined with a problem of overweight. So we feel stress when we're grieving, but we also feel stress when we think people are judging the way we look. So when you have the two, you really have a significant issue to deal with. And this is how it works. So if we are grieving for the loss of somebody dear, or the end of a relationship, or a divorce, or whatever it is, we will feel sad, and that sadness will cause us stress. We are missing somebody and we want to return to where it was. So we're in conflict with ourselves. That in itself is stressful. What tends to happen, however, is that we will then try and deal with this sadness by comfort food eating. And the reason that that happens is because when we eat food, particularly sugary foods or fatty foods, it releases dopamine very quickly into the body, and it makes us feel better. So we're dealing with sadness by effectively a neurophysical reaction that we do subconsciously, which is to eat more. The problem with that is that it then leads us to start feeling very angry with ourselves. We start self-loathing because we realize that we're eating uncontrollably, which is increasing our weight, which is increasing our stress, which originally came from the grief. So you can see how that vicious cycle needs to be dealt with, and dealt with carefully. So it's no good saying to somebody, look, just stop eating, or pull yourself together, or anything like that, because all that will do will actually make them feel worse. It'll make them feel ashamed of themselves, and you're driving the negativity even further into the subconscious mind. So the way to deal with it is, first, there are three aspects. The first thing is to understand the underlying cause of the stress. So if somebody is overeating, there's a reason for that. They are compensating for something. They have a void in their lives which they're needing to fill, and they're choosing to fill it with food. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol, but there's a gap, there's a void. So understanding it is the first thing, and allowing the person to recognize the triggers. Why do I suddenly feel sad? And sometimes these phases can be quite extreme. Something will happen. So with PTSD, it can be a smell or a noise, and it will drive, that's a trigger that drives for this sadness, deep sadness and depression. So first part is understand the triggers. The second is address the triggers and change the perception of those triggers, which requires the person to be given some therapy in order to understand what's happened, but actually learn to deal with it. And the third stage is to create a new habit which allows the person to recover from this and address it anytime they want. So it's quite a complex issue. If somebody has that issue that you should probably recommend they go to the doctor first, because you never know, there might be another underlying condition that needs to be addressed. However, from a psychological point of view, number one, look at the underlying causes. Number two, deal with those. And then number three, establish new habits. Those new habits will be, for example, to establish plans for when people suddenly want to binge eat. They suddenly have a craving. How do I deal with craving? Probably one of the techniques is actually to have an alternative imagination, an alternative picture to put into the mind when that happens. Second is to re-establish a different routine for eating. Portion control, eating slowly. People eat far too fast and they don't get the benefit from the food. In addition to which, just eating that fast is in itself stressful. So learning new habits of eating and then moving from psychological eating, in other words, eating in order to deal with emotions, to eating because you are hungry. So a proper physical eating, that needs to be adjusted as well. So you can see, I hope, from this short video that this complicated matter of stress, then often connected to grief, often connected to overweight, which is how people will view me, can lead to a spiral of self-hate and can be extremely damaging. And it's very difficult to deal with when it becomes pathological. So hopefully this has given you some guidance as to what happens and why and what to do about it. But certainly go to the doctor and get therapeutic help. Hypnotherapy can help a lot, CBT can help a lot. There are different techniques for managing these issues, and you will need professional help. If you know somebody who has that condition, don't try and deal with it yourself. Bye-bye.